2023, the year of the wolf? Question mark. Is this the year that Khamzat Chimaev either makes it or breaks it? Is this the year that Khamzat Chimaev either gets the championship or fails to live up to the hype? And why is Kevin Lee all of a sudden challenging Khamzat Chimaev? So let's discuss Khamzat Chimaev, and let's discuss some of the concerns I have about him, and let's talk about why this year might be the year he either makes it or breaks it. If you've ever seen any of my videos, you would know that I have staked my claim into the ground very firmly for this past year and a half that I believe that Khamzat Chimaev becomes champion, UFC champion, by or in 2023. Now we are a few months into 2023 and he still doesn't have a fight booked. So, you know, Khamzat, if you can get a fight booked this year and then maybe a title fight as well, that would be very appreciated. Thank you very much. By the way, if you end up enjoying the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content similar to this. Check out my channel for other videos I have and leave a comment if you have any thoughts on this entire situation and my video in general. Do you remember at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that this could be the year that Khamzat Chimaev either makes it or breaks it? What did I mean by that? It is possible that I'm overanalyzing the situation and maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but I have a bad feeling and a gut feeling about Khamzat Chimaev's career time frame and timeline. Honestly, I think that a storm might be brewing when it comes to his career. What do I mean by that? Do you remember how a couple years ago he had retired because he got COVID and it was really, really bad and he was coughing up blood and he wanted to retire and then he got convinced of coming back, which is great. But then he's also made comments about what his mom thinks about fighting and how long he wants to fight. I have this feeling, again, maybe I'm overthinking and overanalyzing it, but I also have a feeling that if Khamzat Chimaev doesn't win the title, or if he loses 1 or 2 fights in a row, he might just end up retiring. But allow me to make a case for it as well. Do you guys remember that interview that Khamzat had with that one journalist who was asking Khamzat about his future and his mom? And Khamzat had clearly said that his mom had been wanting him to retire, and he told his mom that I will retire when I become a legit champion. Now let's pause. What does legit champion mean? What does that mean, Khamzat? See, because to different people it can mean different things. Does Khamzat mean that he wants to win the title, have one title defense and retire? Does Khamzat want to win the title and immediately retire? Does he want to win the title and have a few title defenses and then retire? It means very, very different things, but this combined with the short-lived retirement from COVID makes me have a feeling that Khamzat does not want to fight for as long as we think he does. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that maybe by the end of 2024, Khamzat could be retired. Just based on these statements, that tells me this is going to be a pretty short-lived career. Here's the other thing. Khamzat has had a very, very strange roller coaster of a career. Now, you might think it's just been one straight shot up, and it has been overall because obviously he's undefeated. He's beat everybody. But when you really look at it, it's been an up and down roller coaster. It's been a weird career so far. So let's look at his career. He had one of, if not the hottest start to any prospect in UFC history, with a record-setting back-to-back win within 10 days, followed by a 17-second KO win less than 2 months later. Then he was about to jump the rankings and fight the number 3 ranked at the time and current champion Leon Edwards, but the fight just fell through multiple times. He retired for a short period of time due to the effects from COVID. He returns and dominates the Leech. And I always remind people that this win is extremely impressive. Nobody runs through the Leech like this. This was extremely impressive. He again jumps the rankings to face Gilbert Burns and wins. And I just want to remind everyone that I was one of the few people who said that this would be Khamzat's hardest fight to date. I just want to throw that out there. He gets hired practically as a hitman and assassin and gets a really strange fight booked against Nate Diaz. Just weird. But then that falls through because he misses weight badly, then doesn't act like he really cares, kind of screws over the UFC and the fans in general who pay tickets to watch, and then eventually just beats Kevin Holland. Boy, that is a roller coaster of a career. Now, I'm not saying that hype trains don't ever have ups and downs when they're rising, or they never have losses or anything weird happen. I'm not saying that. Just that Khamzat's is unusually weird. If you look at it, the ups and downs and the roller coaster, what a weird, massive hype train he is. Was 2022 a good year for Khamzat? Short answer is yes. He did end the year pretty rough, let's just be honest, and there was a lot of feelings of anger and negativity, disappointment, disgust whatever other verbs you want to use. But overall, 2022 was a good year. The Gilbert Burns fight was a fantastic and fun fight, and it showed me that Khamzat Chimaev can go hard against elite competition. And what's funny is that there were some people after the Burns fight who thought that, wow, we need to slow the hype train on Khamzat. This was a bit disappointing. And I always think, like, do people not know what they were watching? Nobody's just going to run through Gilbert Burns like that. Most people can't. That was a number 11 at the time, jumping up to face, I believe Gilbert was number 2 at the time. Nobody just runs through Gilbert easily. Now for the Nate Diaz situation and the weight miss, was that disappointing? Yes. When it first happened, I was really disappointed. I was upset. I think most people were. And Khamzat's attitude probably didn't help. And I'm not sure if he just did that intentionally because he's like, you know what? I'm just going to piss people off, have more people watching, gain more attention. There is the saying that all press is good press, but I do think that there is a limit to that. And the one issue now is that going forward for his fights, you are going to have a slight uptick or maybe a bigger uptick of people who will be hesitant to either buy the pay-per-views or buy the tickets due to the concern that maybe he's going to miss weight. And if he misses weight, he's just not going to care at all. That can happen. Ultimately, his next performance, if it's a really, really good performance in typical Khamzat fashion, most people forget about that. They'll move on. They'll probably buy tickets and pay-per-views. And as much as we might be upset with him and dislike him for what happened with the weight miss, think of all the fights we realistically want to see. Kamaru versus Khamzat. Khamzat versus Leon. Khamzat versus Whitaker. Khamzat versus Pereira. Khamzat versus Izzy potentially. Khamzat versus Acosta. So many fights. Khamzat versus Colby. I mean, there's just so many fights we want to see. Recently, due to the photos we've seen of Khamzat, the size he's in, and just other rumors from his coaches and other people, it looks like middleweight will be his next destination. And who did he call out at middleweight? Not just Alex Pereira, who he did, and not Izzy, who he's talked about before. Robert Whitaker. Let me tell you right now, Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whitaker could happen this year. And if it happens, I will pay the UFC any amount of money to see that fight. That's how good that fight is. I don't care if it's $50, $60, $70, $80, $90. I will pay to watch that fight. It's an amazing fight. And if you think that Khamzat will just run through Robert, think again, bud. That's not going to happen. And if you think that Robert will run through Khamzat, you're sadly mistaken. This will be a really, really excellent, high-level, premium fight. Well, what if the Whitaker fight doesn't get booked? Who else is there? I still think, and I think most other people will agree, that Khamzat Chimaev versus Paulo Costa is a very, very fun fight for both people, for us fans. And I think it's a great entry point for Khamzat to get into the top 10. And I also think that Khamzat at middleweight will pose problems to the middleweights. I saw his grappling match against Jack Hermanson like you all did. That was impressive. Jack Hermanson at that time is, and I still believe right now, is top 10 ranked middleweight. Big, good sized middleweight. Khamzat did quite good in that grappling match and won. Will he win a championship in 2023? I certainly hope so because I've been trying to predict that. But I do think that he will fight for a title if he can get enough fights in this year. I know he'll probably be able to get one after Ramadan and then hopefully another one in summer, fall. Maybe early wintertime, and hopefully that fight is for the title if he can win. There are still questions, don't get me wrong, like how will Khamzat deal with the increased size and strength of middleweights? How is he going to look in a 5-round contest against an elite middleweight? So there are still questions, and again, there's still the possibility he can go down to welterweight. But this year, if everything goes right, I think we can see some big things from Khamzat this year. But all of our questions are going to get answered this year. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content similar to this, and leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any thoughts. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.